I'm here to talk to you about pet sitting. I've been doing it for a little over a year on the side. I have a full-time job, and then on a lot of weekends, I watch dogs or cats. I started with doing Rover, and Rover is an app where you can dog sit or cat sit. There, you could watch bunnies or birds, but they don't really have an option there, so people book it as cats. And I wanted to talk to you about a little bit about my expertise and what I recommend. So first of all, I think Rover is great. You do have to pay like at least $60 to sign up. It's not very cheap to sign up. They do a background check. Really, I think they just take your $60 and then you're ready to go in a couple of days. At first, it's really hard to get a booking because you have no reviews. So the review scales out of 5 stars, but everyone pretty much gets rated 5 stars unless you really screw up. The way I started is I made my price super cheap to the point where I wouldn't be making money. It was like $8 a walk or something, really cheap. So I started with that, and someone booked me who was close by, and they gave me 5 stars, and then I started getting recommended more. And then each person gave me a good review and a tip. Now, on Rover, the tips, they cap it at like 30%. So if someone wants to tip you more, they have to tip you through Venmo. They have to ask for your Venmo and you have to give it to them, or Zelle or something like that outside of Rover. There's probably a reason that Rover does it that way. But again, I think that's strange. So Rover doesn't take any money from the tip is probably part of it. If they ask for your Venmo, and you have their personal cell, so through Rover, you don't get their personal cell. It creates like a fake number for both of you, I think, for protection. And then, but if you guys exchange personal cells, which is up to them, not up to you, they have to recommend it. Then I would say afterwards, if they tipped you via Venmo, then you could be like, and they want to do a future booking, then on the future booking, you could ask to go through Venmo if you want the fee not to be there. I wouldn't recommend doing it through Rover. The reason is Rover monitors it and you can be banned from the app for doing that. I'll give you an example. I actually used a different app called Wag. Wag is much different than Rover. Wag is a different app where you can walk dogs. So what happens is it's like Uber for dogs. It's different. And you request them. So they post their dog up, say, hey, I need a walk, and then a bunch of people bid, and then they say yes or no. It's very strange how it works. You have to put the right price in. If you put the wrong price in, it says, hey, your price is too low or too high, lower it or higher it. It's very strange. Well, in my status, I've done a bunch of Rover bookings. I don't have WAG bookings yet. And for a little bit, they said, hey, if you want to keep booking people, we're going to charge you $300. I was like, what? They said, because I booked people off the site. I took people off the site and booked them personally. I was like, I never did that via WAG. I did it via Rover. I didn't do it via WAG. I told them that, and they're like, oh, it's because you have Rover in your status. But it was crazy that they said, hey, pay us $300. And I was like, what? So WAG is strange. It's not the worst. It's a good idea of how to go and walk dogs if people really need a dog walker, but I like Rover better because they request you meet the dog, and then you go there. WAG, you don't. They just want you to show up, and then the dogs are ready to go, and you're like, is this okay? At the very beginning, I applied to work part-time at a dog walking company, and I'm not going to say the name because I think they're good. I just didn't have a good experience. The problems is you're not your own boss. When on Rover or by yourself, like if you go through Venmo, you are. And on through them, my first official booking after they trained me, that was the great part. They trained me, they gave me this great bag I still use over a year later doing pet sittings. And I showed up, and apparently these dogs don't like men or hats. I showed up wearing this hat. I wasn't told this beforehand. So that's a problem. And there was 10 total animals. There was 4 dogs, 2 cats, 2 birds, and 2 rabbits. And I wasn't paid a lot for it, but it's what I signed up for. It was ridiculous. They had cameras in their house, which is something you should expect. You should expect everyone to have cameras. It just is what it is. Then they were like watching me every time. And then 3 days in, like I was ready to quit because these dogs didn't want to be by me. There was someone else in the house while I was there. That happens sometimes. And like they were a full grown adult. And I'm thinking like, why am I here? Why am I watching the dogs? Well, it threw me off completely. Nothing went well with this sitting, and it's the only time something didn't go well, and it's when a different company booked it because I had never met these animals or these people before. I left that company because I'm like, it would have been nice to know they didn't like men. A lot of dogs don't. So if you're a guy and you're on Rover, you just might not be booked. You just have a preference, and don't wear a hat right away. I don't know if they think it's a beak or something. I don't know. Dogs have preferences. Same with cats. If you're going to wear one, I would say ask before you come in. I always wear my bag, though, because it's got the smell of dogs and cats on it. And I think they like that and they get excited. And they're like, okay, so this is a pet person. I smell the other dogs and cats on here. It's very interesting because before I was pet sitting, they were fine with me. But now they seem more interested. If you're going to go off of Rover Wag and do it on your own, a good way to start is start on the apps. Now, first of all, to get my first Rover booking, it took about 9 months. It just happened randomly. It's because I went super cheap. Good way to start, it's kind of cheating, but is make your price cheap. Actually have a family member or a friend book you for real and watch their cat or dog. Take as many pictures as possible. By the way, always take as many pictures as possible, send them to them, update them, and then they'll give you a good review, and then you'll at least have a 5-star review to start with. The review status is weird because everyone's 5 stars, so it's strange they do that in general. Another thing is, this is really important. If you do overnights, I do a lot of overnights where so you stay over at their house. So you stay over and you sleep with the dog. Usually not cats. Usually cats, it's you just drop in. It's called drop in. So you come for 30 minutes, play with the cat, feed them, change their litter. With dogs, you'll have to walk them, feed them, sleep with them. And for that, make sure the house is super clean. So something I learned from the dog walking company or the pet sitting company, make it clean or cleaner than when you showed up because people really like that and they'll give you a decent tip for that. Also, never expect a tip, but be happy when you get one. So you're not here to tipping, you're here to enjoy the animal. So if you're getting into it just for the money, goodbye. You're not going to enjoy yourself. I do this on the side. I have a full-time Monday through Friday. That's another thing is the schedule. If you keep yourself open, completely open, like open for every day, someone's going to book you for every day. So if you don't want to do that, don't do that. So be very specific on your schedule. And then if they do book you, because sometimes they try to book you anyways, even though they're off the schedule, just let them know you're not available. Would love to work with them again. Another thing is if you're doing a house sitting, a few questions to ask that you might forget about besides like, what do they eat and things like that is, how am I going to get in and out of the house? So what's the key situation? Where does the dog poop and where does their poop go? Right? Another thing is they're going to ask you sometimes to do some things that you're like confused by and you're like, is that how I'm going to do it? And you just got to listen. I had 3 dogs I was watching one time for an hour and one dog was allergic to a type of seed and the other 2 dogs, she fed those type of seeds. So I had to make sure to keep them separate. You just got to do that. You just got to listen to the owner. That's important. Listen to the owner, which is something I couldn't do with the dog walking company because there was an in-between and then communication goes out the door and it gets very frustrating. But one-on-one, it's great. Raise your prices only if you think you need to. I eventually did because of gas prices and food. Make sure you're covered. I wouldn't say eat the people's food there. That's not expected. You get your own food. Just realize the animals are your number 1 priority. Number 2 are the owners, and make sure it's clean, really clean when they get back. If you're going to leave, which I usually do for at least an hour, just ask them how long you can leave and when you come back. I highly recommend pet sitting if you love animals. Yeah. So I hope that was useful tips. And as I leave, here's Sam again. Sam! Sam! Sam. Sam.